On today's Try to Finish Something, I've got a quick addition to something that I've already built. That's never gonna work. Every time I say it's simple or it's quick or something like that, I jinx myself and things go bad. So I'm gonna start this over. So here we go. On today's Try to Finish Something, I've got a part 2 to a project that I already built. Actually, that's not true either, because the first part of this, the Star Wars multi-tool, did stand alone. I mean, it was completed. I just want to add another addition to that Star Wars multi-tool. So, I'm going to start this again. On today's Try to... And now I'm choking. See? It's all bad luck. All right. On today's Try to Finish Something, I've got a second addition to a Star Wars multi-tool. I've already built a Star Wars multi-tool, but I want to create a new accessory for that multi-tool and maybe something else. We'll see how this goes depending on how the first multi-tool head attachment goes. And that's what I'm going to do on today's Try to Finish Something. Huh? That went flawless. Alright, I've got a plan. You saw this. This is my fusion cutter tool head that I just wrapped up. And I really don't like two-part videos, so I'm contemplating doing something other than just a tool head, and I have an idea. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to bite off more than I can chew and then wind up having to do a third part of this video. So I'm going to make a tool head today. We'll see how this goes. But my fusion cutter, these are my inspiration photos. This is my fusion cutter that is my version of this tool. So this I've already made. When I was searching Star Wars tools, the other thing that came up is the all tool. And this is the other tool head that I want to try and make somehow. I like the shape of this. It's more cylindrical and tall. It's got a lot of curved edges, and I'm trying to see if I can find some found parts and combine some found parts with some laser cutting to make this tool. This first one I made all just with stuff I found. I want to do a combination of that with this tool, and I've got some ideas. I think my plan... Ooh. I've got an idea. All right. Hold on just a second, because if this works, the oval-shaped end of the... All right. Stick around. Here we go. All right. So here's my plan. I plan on building the body of this on the laser cutter. I'll need to design this in Illustrator and then cut it on the Glowforge. Then maybe using a deodorant container, create that rounded tool head. And I don't like the look of my deodorant because of these little recessed turned directions with arrows, but my daughter's deodorant is full, but it has a nice shape, and it has this ridge on the inside of the end, and I could make a piece that would rest on that, and then I would just need to cut this in half and empty it. I would also get the functionality of the rotation of the end of that deodorant. And I am back from Illustrator and cutting on the Glowforge with a ton of seemingly random pieces. Time to make these into the body. And yes, I did make a few score lines to remind me where the pieces need to be glued because, as you can see, I have a ton of pieces. And if you are wondering what all of these lowercase a shapes are, I have 2 plans for those. But first, let me see if this fits into the end of the deodorant. Oh, it fits perfectly. I'll just need to glue my shapes into these laser cut pieces, and I will create that later. But the A-shaped pieces are made to fit the bulb size, and some are made to fit the ridge on the bottom of the bulb. So I will
glue a few together and it should hold and secure the LED bulb in place, kind of like you saw in the reference picture. And then I will drill a hole into the side and I will just feed the wires in. And I was watching Bill make stuff and he made a greebly with a spring, and I really thought that was a cool idea. So I'm going to use some of the other A shapes to hold a styrene dowel like this, and then add a spring in the middle and then put another A on the other side, and it will lock that spring in place, and I'll just glue it to the side. All right, let's glue this all together, and then I'm going to get a coat of gray primer on all of it. And I cut the deodorant in half, and I'm scuffing up the deodorant surface, and yes, you can see at the bottom, I did crack the plastic when I cut it. The crack will be deep inside the body, and you'll never see it, but I want to strengthen it with super glue to keep the crack from spreading. I'm just adding glue and kicker and then sanding that to strengthen the split. And let's give that a coat of primer too. While that dries, I'm going to do some chipping on the body with toothpaste and then give this a coat of the actual body color, which I think is going to be orange in color to tie back into the other multi-tool head and base. And here it is in orange. Time to wipe off the toothpaste, chipping to reveal the dark gray beneath. And I'm just reinforcing this a bit more with super glue. And I really do like that spring greebly. Thanks, Bill, for the idea. Now, before I glue these LEDs in, I just want to test them and make sure they work. And they do. Get those in place and feed the wires into the body. I also need to get this deodorant installed into the body, and I need to do a tiny bit of sanding because that paint added just a tiny bit of thickness, and now it won't slide in. Crap, that is in there tight. I should paint the final color on this before I wedge this all the way in because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it out even without glue. All right, I should also glue in that painted end on this too, and then scratch up the edges of the end of this all tool. And the last bit of this end is the faucet filter that I just did some pre-weathering mist of gray spray paint. I'm also going to make some chipped and weathered blue lines to tie back into the other tools, and so what I'm doing is I'm just using masking tape, and then I sprayed some of my blue on a paper plate and then applying it using a bit of ragged sponge, and this will give me a chipped, irregular application of the blue that should look like it's been worn off and now it's weathered striping. And once I take the tape off, I will also do some scratching before the blue completely dries. Now, the top will also be blue, and I'm adding a bit of electronic circuit board to the top and a piece from an electronic board that Greg had donated to me. I also want to thank Kyle for all of the stuff that he sent. I used some of the bits here and there on this tool head and a lot of other projects. I will get all of this wired into that aircraft connector and glue the lid onto this all tool head. If you didn't see my first video where I created the first tool head and the base, check out the video up there. Now, I'm just going to paint a few different accent colors on, and it's finally time for weathering all of this. And it's the exact same process. Brown and black water-based oils applied in random passes with a ragged brush and dabbed off using a paper towel to make sure that I'm not getting any brush strokes. I guess I should make sure everything still works with the electronics. And it does. Still turns on. I'm going to just add a few stickers that Ado of Fabworks had designed and I had printed through Van Oaks Props on Etsy. He has a brand new batch of stickers, and yes, I ordered those too, and I might use some on the next step of my build if they get here in time. All right, I'm going to try and see if this works to let me know if I can continue on with my idea. I want to get the outline of the tool and try and create my own custom case for this, because if my story were true, it would have a case to travel with the tool. Oh, my story? Well, I'm glad you asked. You remember Peli Motto, who managed Hangar 3-5 at Mos Eisley Spaceport. Well, she had built up such a reputation for being able to fix and build any starship that she decided to launch her own line of Moto multi-tools available for purchase in Hangar 3-5. The only problem with her tools is they lasted forever and did the work of multiple other tools that every scoundrel, smuggler, bounty hunter, and droid repair tech in the galaxy needed. But they kept them forever, never needing to buy a replacement. And while they got very dirty, they were always reliable. They came in a handy carrying case and could be found under the seat of or wedged near the controls of every ship in the galaxy. So here's what I did. I took pictures of the pieces in the configuration that I wanted, and then I brought that into Illustrator, and doing a few sheets of laser cut pieces with varying sizes, I was able to capture the tool accessories at different points to keep them from sliding around. I was able to make an insert to hold all of these tools in place securely. Now, I just needed to glue these sheets together and give it a base coat of black. Now, I had asked and was getting some feedback from my Patreon members, and everyone agreed that they liked it better with stickers. So it's time to apply some stickers, and I'm going to add some stripes to the inside of the case, the same way that I did to the tool head. And now give it some scratches. Add the stickers. And then weather the whole thing. Now, onto the box, the case. I have some strips of plywood that I've been hanging on to, and the width should work out perfectly. And it's an okay quality plywood with a few voids in the layers and will require a bit of wood putty, but after some pin nails and glue, I should be able to make this into the case. So I've made a fully sealed box, glued and pin nailed all the way around. I take the box outside to the table saw and cut it in half, giving me a perfectly sized lid and base. I have some case clasps that I thought looked pretty cool, and I shot them with brown and black spray paint outside, and with a bit of some steel wool to bring back some of the shine to them, now I have some worn clasps. I used a jigsaw to cut notches in the sides of the box and then randomly applied wood putty all over the case, and then I sanded it down so that it would give me some textures and unexplainable variations to the surface of the box that has been knocking around in my Star Wars bunker. Inside the top lid, it will get a random piece of foam that was packing material from, something that was shipped to me a long time ago. I shot the box with some primer, a few random colors, and I'm putting on some random shapes of tape so that after it's painted the next color, it will look like some things had been stuck to it and it's been repainted a few times. And I'm I'm really not sure how I like the spray paint and the way it took to the wood. I thought the parts of the wood that still had grain would give me some texture, and it does, but not texture that I like. I'm going to add some acrylic paint here and there to mix up the color and variation to give me that more worn, repurposed look that I'm going for. I'm adding more color and variation to the paint. I'm going to be honest, I'm really not liking the way this is coming out at all. I'm going to mask off some stripes to see if maybe breaking up the color helps my enjoyment of this prop at all. Nope. Maybe it needs stickers. Maybe that will make me like it more. Nope. Let me put in the clasps and look at this whole thing together with the base and the tools in it and see what I think. I hate it.
So I'm right now contemplating whether or not I'm even going to show this part of the video. And if you're seeing this, I obviously decided to go ahead and show it. I should have just stopped at the tool head. I loved this. I was really pleased with how this came out. And I love the functionality of it being able to turn. I like everything about this. I like this. I like the insert for the tools. And then it all went downhill. I don't like the color scheme. I don't think that this looks Star Wars. I think this looks more Guardians of the Galaxy than Star Wars. I don't like the texture. I should have put a thin layer of either the wood putty or Bondo or something on the entire thing so that I could get a smooth surface first and then texture on top of that so that I could get the texture I wanted, not the texture that I was forced into, because some of these spots there is still wood grain. And I did shoot it with some clear lacquer first so that it didn't absorb the moisture that it's absorbing. But it's hard to weather because it soaks it in immediately. But I'm not displeased with the techniques. I'm really disappointed in the results. So now it's a matter of, am I scrapping it? And I'll be honest, there's a good chance that no matter what I do right now in this video, sorry, I'm just dropping things off the table, that there will come a day that this whole thing gets sanded and redone. But now I think with some laser cut pieces, I can change parts of the look of the outside of this. And I think I'm going to see if I can make myself happier with it. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
I haven't hated something Star Wars this much since those stupid scooters in Book of Boba Fett. I really don't know what to do at this point. Maybe it needs greeblies and electronics to make me like it. I did make some laser cut pieces that I will add to the top, maybe to help it look more Star Wars and get me to like the look of it a bit more. As I mentioned in my podcast last week, I love putting labels on everything, and I love the look of these empty cartridges, the gray thing right there above the ugly box in front of me. I've always thought those might make a cool greebly, so I cut a piece of wood on my laser cutter to house that empty cartridge from my label maker like this. I made a random greebly plate for the front and the side panels with grill pieces cut into them that, I don't know, have a bit of a Star Wars feel to those. I shot everything outside with black, and it's time to try and assemble this utter nightmare. I'll be honest. I'm actually still thinking of throwing this as far as I can out into my field. Let's mount this on the lid of this ugly case and then all of the other panels all over. I'm also adding a handle that I painted. I took the steel wool to it too, just like the side clasps. Now, I'm going to add all of the electronics into the lid of this, and I will hot glue everything in place and then add my piece of packing foam into the lid to hide all of that. The last bit of weathering onto the finish line. Silver rub and buff to the black panels. I like to do the silver first because I feel it gets too silver at times, and when you do a pass of brown and black water-based oil paint after, you can knock back some of the silver scratches or hide some completely. The way I figure it is, if it was painted black and scratched down to silver, some would have scratched a long time ago and gotten dirty on top of it. Not all of the scratches would be clean and fresh silver. I think my favorite part of this terrible prop is that label cartridge greebly. The way I see it is every prop has a purpose. Some you build to teach you a lesson, no matter how long you've built stuff. Sometimes you're not going to like the results, and hopefully it can teach you something for a future build. I learned I don't like plywood surface for a build. I don't like the way that it takes weathering, and I would need to seal the surface way different before I painted it if I did something like this again. Oh, by the way, my other sticker pack from Van Oaks Props came, and I will add a few of the new stickers and weather those too. Last thing I will add will be some dust with powdered paint pigment with a clean brush to dirty up the surface. I think I'm calling this Star Wars Moto Multi-Tool. I don't know. Finished. I think I just need to step away from it. I do think it looks better with the panels. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe to the channel and consider joining my Patreon group or grabbing something off my Amazon wish list and in the comments or in the description of the video. If you join my Facebook group, all of the files that I made for this will be available for free. If you didn't like it, I honestly don't blame you, but just keep it to yourself, and we'll see you next time as we try to finish something. Ooh, make sure you stick around for the glam shots. I'm going to try and take some good pictures and make this turd look polished. Oh well. Thanks for watching, everybody.